Thank you for tuning in to Quick Counsel with Erin Van Kampen and Kristen Lavoie. I'm Kristen Lavoie, and today I'm going to be covering Cross-Examination 101. We're going to start with why cross-examination is so important, moving on to the 3 pillars of cross for an effective cross-examination, and ending with an introduction to the chapter method. Cross-examination has its history in our legal system from the very beginning. It is so important that our clients have a constitutional right to cross-examination in both the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan Constitution. It really helps us show that witnesses might not be as accurate as they claim to be, how there are holes in the prosecution's case. Make sure that we have a fair opportunity to show that the prosecution has not proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and really making sure that the adversarial system is fair. But in order to have an effective cross-examination, I would encourage you to stick to the 3 pillars of cross. This will allow you to have control of the witness and make sure that you're supporting your theory of the case. And those 3 pillars are that all questions should be productive and support that theory of the case. All questions should be leading, and all questions should be 1 fact per question. But let's unpack that a little bit. When I say productive questions, I mean that your questions for cross should establish some aspect of your theory of the case. As we've talked about before, your theory of the case includes both the facts, the law, and the emotional reason why an innocent person would end up in your client's position. But there is also something called a theory of the witness. You should think about this particular witness and how you want the jury to think about them. Are they mistaken? Are they lying? Is there something about their testimony that should not be believed? Are they biased for some reason? All of your questions for cross-examination should support that theory in some way. Questions should also be leading. Now, leading question just means that it suggests the answer, but there's also something called active leading and passive leading. Passive leading is more like, you saw a car in that intersection, didn't you? Where the witness is told they should be saying yes. It suggests the answer of yes, but it gives the witness some wiggle room to sort of argue with you or say, you know what, I don't remember seeing that. Whereas actively leading feels more like a short, definitive statement that tells the witness there's only one way to answer. You were at the intersection. You saw a car. That car was blue. You'll also notice that in that last example, I actually did an example of 1 fact per question. 1 fact per question lets you paint the picture of your story better, giving individual details in each question separately. It also helps you avoid a runaway witness who might try to argue with you with one aspect of the question, but not others. If you were to ask the witness or say to the witness, you saw the blue car go through the intersection, they might say no and might say the car was navy or start to argue with you when in fact they would agree with you that they were there, that they saw the car, that they were at the intersection, and they're just arguing about what color the car might be. It really helps you prevent that runaway witness, keeps control in your cross-examination, and lets you paint the picture better. Another way to do this is to use the chapter method. It lets you control the witness and have really thoughtful, organized cross-examinations that focus on the things that support your theory of the case. This chapter method was perfected by Posner and Dodd, and it boils down to this. Think about your witness and 1 discrete fact or point that you can prove using cross-examination of that witness. That's what a chapter is. It is a discrete or fact or point that supports your theory of the case. This eyewitness's testimony should not be believed because they had an obstructed view. You think about different ways that you can prove your case or prove your theory through the witness, break them down into individual chapters, and then think about the sub-questions you can use to prove that chapter. If you were to ask a witness on the stand, your view was obstructed, wasn't it? They might say, well, I know it wasn't. I saw things perfectly. But you think about trying to prove that it was obstructed and the individual questions you might ask that they will agree with that will get there. You were 12 feet away. It was 10 o'clock at night. You were on the right side of the street. There are multiple cars going, on the street, cars going in different directions. There are 2 cars 2 trees on that street. And you can think about the things they will agree with you on to make your ultimate conclusion that you can argue to the jury, this witness's testimony should not be believed or is incredible because their view was obstructed. Sometimes when you're brainstorming this, you'll think something is one chapter and ultimately it ends up being multiple. I like to put my chapters on individual pieces of paper, brainstorm the individual questions for each chapter, and rearrange as I go. I hope that this quick console was helpful in getting an introduction to some important aspects of cross-examination. If you're looking for more training on cross-examination or the chapter method, please check out WayneCountyDefenderTraining.com and look at videos and other resources available there. Thank you.